Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Dragon Ball Super Dragon Stars Goku and Buff Roshi from the exclusive set. And I believe you can get both of these guys in, I know you can get Goku, but I believe you can get them both in some kind of single release, normal version, or maybe even in a 2-pack. I don't know. This is the exclusive version, so there's shiny parts. That's all I know about it. But there's some good stuff here. There's some really good stuff here, and then there's some stuff that's not so good. So let's go ahead and get them off the stand and take a closer look. Goku stands roughly, let's say, 5 3/4 inches to the top of his head, not counting his hair spikes, which makes him pretty close to 14.5 centimeters. And Roshi stands, get his hips tucked in, Roshi stands just about 16 centimeters and 6 1/4 inches. So he does have some size, as you can see. The scaling is, I don't know. I don't remember how tall he's supposed to be when he gets all buff like this. But yeah, they look pretty good. So, okay, before we do that, let's do a question of the day. Are you guys who collect SH figure arts still using Dragon Stars to fill spots, or are you just sitting tight now that they're starting to release more obscure characters and hoping that they give you a figure arts version of the character you're looking for? Okay, so we're going to talk about the aesthetics first. We're going to do them one at a time. Let's talk about Goku. First thing I noticed is all of the orange is shiny, and there's a touch of shine to his skin as well. Obviously, the blue clothing parts are shiny also, and it actually looks really good, I would say. It does give him that kind of glowing effect. I think that's nice. There is shading in addition to the silver, so that's cool. The skin tones all have shading. The hair is nice and flat black. I like that look a whole bunch, and the face is well painted. I have a couple of scuffs on mine. I don't know if that's intentional. I don't think it is. But the eyes are painted well. The hair is nice and matte finish. The shiny, well-painted outfit is good. The logo here is clean. The logo on the back is clean. This figure has more paint on it than any of the Goku figure arts figures, other than like the newest blue and red one. So it's very, very well done. For a Dragon Stars release, this is one of the best looking by far. Very well executed. And the sculpt is good too. We have some issues with the articulation, but the sculpt looks good and the paint looks good, so I'm happy. Aesthetically, Goku is going to get a 9 out of 10. Very well done. As for Roshi, well, we have some good things and some bad. The skin tone, also, there's a little bit of shine to it, but not really, and there is shading throughout, and it looks really good. It's up on his face, it's well placed. There's shading throughout his buff tank top, which is very nicely done. And we do have the metallic belt and pants, again, very nicely done. There's shading and the silver. That's good. The sandals are well painted. There's more shading on the feet there. The face is really well painted and sculpted. No complaints there. Love that. Yeah, it's very, very good looking. I will say though that, well, I guess for the aesthetic, the only real issue is the way they did the shoulder articulation, which we'll get to later. But otherwise, it's a really good looking figure for the price point and for this particular line. So he's gonna get a whatever Goku got. Did he get an 8 or a 9? 9? I'm gonna give them both a 9 out of 10. So overall aesthetic is 9 out of 10 for these guys. And if Goku did get an 8, I'm gonna give him a 9. At this price point, there's no way that's not a 9. I don't remember what I said anymore. But yeah, very aesthetically pleasing figures. Now for accessories, Goku comes with 2 fist hands, and then he has 2 open hands. And Roshi comes with the stick, of course, which is very good. And he comes with a gripping hand and a fist hand in the package. And then there's also another fist hand and a gripping hand to give him a perfect pair of either. And then you do get a set of open hands as well. I think that's good. The only thing we're lacking here in this bundle is an effect part, which would be very cool, but we don't have that. So 7 out of 10 for accessories. It's not bad, but it's not great. Okay, for articulation, we'll start with Goku. It's ball peg, although the head pops off really easily. The neck is on a ball peg too, and you don't get much range out of either of them, honestly. Like, it's basically just a swivel. There's a little bit of up and down, a little bit of leaning and rotation, but it's not anywhere near what you would expect for a good ball peg. Now for the shoulders, they did something interesting. It's like a poorly executed version of what I've been saying the figure arts need forever. The orange sleeve is just a solid like cylinder that's connected to the body that can rotate, and then the shoulder itself has a hinge within that. And of course it can rotate some too, but that's neither here nor there as far as what I'm talking about. What you need, I'll get to that in a second. What I've been saying all along is that you need to let the orange part, let's see if we can focus. You need to let the orange part be connected to the body instead of being a separate thing like on the figure arts. So this piece is just a collar basically that rotates around, and then the shoulder has its full-on ball hinge like any other action figure. And if you do it right, that will account for a butterfly joint. Now they didn't go in far enough over here, and it's too skinny on the orange part, so when you rotate it, you can't bring the arm forward. But this works, it looks good. You can rotate it all the way around, and it doesn't leave any gaps ever. It looks so much better than the figure arts with all their extra pieces and miscolored butterfly joints and things like that. Now this is a separate piece, so if you didn't notice while I was trying to finagle it around, the arm can rotate within the shoulder, which is good. That's extra articulation that helps you to make it look natural and organic, so that's a good thing. You can do that, and then you get your full-on ball hinge, which full range of motion. You're not missing anything here other than the cheapness of this line compared to figure arts. If the quality of figure arts if you could have the quality of figure arts in a joint like this, it would be the perfect shoulder for these guys in these outfits. It's very well done. You do get your bicep swivel, double jointed elbow works fine, ball hinge wrist, that's all good. Now the torso did pop apart. I was kind of pushing really hard on that to get that to rotate. Let me put it back together and show you how it works, because this is one of the better ones we've seen. We've seen some of the Dragon Stars figures that don't have great sculpts or articulation for the waist. His is really nice. Like, it is fully sculpted and the belt is a floating piece as you saw, so it just moves around with it, but he leans around really nicely. And of course you get your rotation. So that's good, that's fine. Like, we don't get much more than that with a lot of the figure arts, even when they have their hinges built into it. So I like that. Now the real downfall for this guy is going to be the hips and the knees. The hips are terribly ugly hinged ball pegs, and the hinge ball peg is just floppy and it doesn't work, and it doesn't really afford any range. It's all around terrible. Going out to the side sucks. Going forward sucks. It has to turn to the side and kick it out, and it doesn't work well. You do get your thigh swivel, and that's okay, but otherwise the hips are trash. Terrible, terrible, terrible hips. Double jointed knee is disgustingly ugly, and it only gives you 90 degrees. That is horrendous. They should have just done a single pin, made this rounded off and tucked it in. Just like a standard single hinge joint like you see on like the Mythic Legion's elbows or the Marvel Legends female elbows, things like that. That's what they should have done. It's cheaper and it works better. This is terrible. You do get a ball hinge for the ankle, but you get virtually no range, so you just get a little bit. And you can rotate it around to get a little bit of an ankle rocker, but it's very loose and it's just not great. So from the waist down it kind of sucks, but for the rest of it it's pretty good. Since the waist down sucks, I'm going to go only 7 out of 10, but I do like the rest of it for the price point. It's pretty darn good. For Roshi, it's kind of the same situation, only a little bit different. Head's on a ball peg, neck's on a ball peg. Neck barely moves. Head moves enough. It's not a ton, but it'll do. For the shoulders, it's just a ball peg that wiggles around. It's not well sculpted, so it's not hidden at all, and you get very little range out of it anyway, so it's kind of pointless. Don't know why they bothered doing that. But you do get your ball hinge, which is very functional, so can't complain about that at least. You get your full rotation. Bicep swivel is fine. Double jointed elbow, a lot more ugly, a lot more mechanical looking. Don't know why they went that route, but they did. So that's a bummer, but you get better than 90 degrees, and you get a ball hinge wrist, though the ball hinge is really tiny. Don't like that. It should be the size of the wrist, and it's not, so that kind of blows. No upper torso articulation, of course. Lower torso articulation, there's a little bit of lean, but I think that, it's technically there, but it doesn't really work. So you just get a little bit of rotation, and that's about it. Same situation for the hips. It's ugly ball hinges that don't really work. Drop down ball pegs. Hinged ball pegs, goodness gracious. They don't really add anything. They're just floppy and loose. You can get the legs out to the side, though. It's not because of that drop down ball peg. And they don't really go forward very much at all. That kind of sucks. They do go back a little bit. You get some thigh swivel, that's okay. Again, terrible, terrible knee joint. Really, really bad. Don't know why they're doing that, but they did. That stinks. And then you get a ball hinge ankle, which is actually really solid. The sculpt afforded it, which is good, but you get really good range out of that. So he's not as bad. Shoulders are ugly, elbows are kind of ugly, and hips are still kind of bad, knees are still kind of bad, but he's a little bit better than Goku, so I'll give him an 8 out of 10. And I'll do a final verdict for the articulation for both of them. I'll go 8 out of 10. I'll be generous and say for the price point, these guys are not too bad, though they could easily be improved without costing anything if they... other than obviously you need new molds since they've already got molds, but you get what I'm saying. It wouldn't cost them any more originally to have done it properly. Okay, final verdict for this 2-pack. I think if you're into the Dragon Stars line, this is one to pick up. It's really fun. I like the metallic paint job. I think they look really good from a sculpt and paint perspective, and the articulation is definitely good enough to support the rest of it. It's not the best, but at this price point, I don't think you need it to be. I'm happy with it. I'm going to give it a final verdict of 8 out of 10 for the 2-pack. It's a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it, and if you're in this line anyway, then you're not going to even mind the problems that these guys have. So they're not going to stand up to figure arts, of course, but the paint job does, because figure arts don't get paint anymore, and that's very irritating. Alright, so there it is, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. And if you haven't subscribed, you might want to. I have new videos almost every single day, and thousands already on the channel. So make sure you come back for all of that. And in the meantime, keep collecting.